Alexa. Vice Chair, I'd like Carolyn, and the Treasurer be Sheila, and the Mayor should be the Secretary. I'd entertain somebody to give me a motion, or a second rather, whatever.
I would make a motion for that, Mayor.
And this is Brent. I'd second that motion.
Very good. There's been a motion, a second, to fill in the resolution with those identified people to serve offices for the Community Improvement District. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all the directors, please, in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed?
See how I'm trained to raise my hand there, Sid? Yeah. Like a trained dog.
Any opposed? That motion was approved. So with that, we can go to the full resolution to have approval of that. As I said, that would include approval of the officers, approval of the bylaws that have been presented to you all, and the sunshine law policy. Is there a motion or a second for either one of those?
I'll make a motion. This is Alexa.
I'll second it,
I'll
Carolyn.
second. Go ahead, Carolyn.
And I'll let Alexa, as the new chair, kind of conduct the or lead a discussion or call.
And it begins.
Yeah, and we begin.
Yeah, thank you, Sid, so much. I appreciate it. So we do have a motion on that. And Carolyn, from here on out as chair, just to let everybody know, I won't be making any more motions. It'll have to come from one of the other members of the board. I think it's just appropriate that way. Is there any conversation about this after a motion and a second? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Sid, the next item?
Next item on our agenda is to approve a cooperative agreement. This has been negotiated between the city and the developer to where the developer is going to be advancing funds to construct certain public improvements in the Southview Commerce Center that to be reimbursed from revenues to be collected by the CID. With the CID not having yet been formed, they could not approve that agreement in advance, but it has now been approved by the city and the developers accepting of the terms there. So we would need to have a discussion for the resolution to approve the CID to actually sign that cooperative agreement so that we can implement its details.
Great. Before we have a discussion, can I get a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Carolyn. Okay, I'll open it up for discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor, please state aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next item, Sid?
Yes, ma'am. The next item on the agenda is a resolution to call an election to impose a sales and use tax within the boundaries of the CID, which basically includes the Southview Commerce Center. The election will be authorizing a sales and use tax up to 1%. But pursuant to the cooperative agreement, which was just signed, it will only be imposed at the rate of 0.5% to become effective once approved. The proceeds of those revenues will be used to fund public improvements and other public services that's being provided by the CID or improvements that are constructed within the boundaries of the CID. And what will be authorized is both a sales and use tax. So to the extent that there's any sales that retail sales that are taxable that occur within the boundaries of the CID will be collected, or as the sales tax will be imposed against those sales. And if there's a use tax that might be applicable for the CID sales tax, that also will be imposed on sales that would occur outside the state of Missouri, but that would be delivered to businesses that are located or for other purposes within the boundaries of the CID. So you'd be capturing both sales and use taxes for transactions that are consummated within the boundaries of the CID. Chair, I think that's a summary. If there's, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, before we go to questions and answers, can I get a motion and a second?
So moved.
Thank you, Mayor.
Second.
Thanks, Brent. Having a motion and a second, I'll open it up for discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, everybody. Sid, next item.
One more resolution to consider on the agenda today, and is to approve the initial budget. There really aren't expected to be any significant revenues during the current fiscal year. The fiscal year of the CID coincides with the fiscal year of the city. And so that will be April 1st through March 31st of each year. With the authorization to call the election for the sales and use tax, that will hopefully to get that implemented here in July, maybe early August. But the soonest that the sales tax could be imposed against retail sale transactions would be January 1st. Most of the buildings there are currently unoccupied, and so at this point, we do not know or expect any retail sales to be generated within the boundaries of the CID that would be pending during the current fiscal year. Those are likely to be generated and start collections in the next fiscal year, and we'll consider approval of that budget in March prior to the commencement of the next fiscal year. If for some reason we get information that would be contrary to what our initial beliefs are, we'll ask for probably another meeting to come forth to amend the existing or the current year budget to accommodate those specific facts. But at this point, the budget is basically a list of zeros. There's no revenues and no expenditures that are expected to be paid in the current fiscal year when you don't have any expected revenues. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Well, as I have stated in the past, let's have a motion and a second, and then I'll open it up for discussion.
Make a motion.
Second.
Thank you, Carolyn. Thank you, Mayor. Okay, I'll open it up for discussion. At some point, as I realize that we don't really think that building 2 or 3 or these buildings will have anyone in there in time that would go into this, but by some sheer luck we would. What's the process? Could we call a special meeting, or do we?
Yes, we could call a special meeting. The chair, vice chair, or the secretary can call a special meeting, notifying everybody of the expected business to be conducted. It would be very similar to the resolution that's currently in front of the board of directors for consideration. It would, instead of adopting the budget, it would be very simply to amend the budget to include what would be expected projected sales tax revenues that would be received. And if we have received those, if there's any expected expenditures that would need to be also documented.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries. Other business that we have today, Sid's already alluded to that we are looking at our next meeting, since our fiscal year will be the same as the city's, which is April through March. I would make it a suggestion, if Wednesdays are okay, since that's what we're meeting today, we would look at a tentative next meeting of March 24th, Wednesday, March 24th of 2021. So if everyone could tentatively put that on their calendar. If you have a problem with that sometime throughout the year, let us know, and we'll try to pick another date in that month. Any problems with that? If not, is there any other business? Perfect. Is there any other business before this board?
The only other thing that we're still working on is getting directors and officers insurance in place for the CID. And so as soon as we get a proposal and a bid that we can consider, we'll present that information and get that implemented for purposes of covering anything related to the CID.
Okay.
That's all I have, Chair.
Okay. Thank you so much. Without anything else in front of this board, can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion. This is Brent.
Thanks, Brent. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Carolyn. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Perfect. Thanks, everybody.